All right, so blending. What you're going to see on those slides is I'm going to walk you through how can you get an example really smoothly into a paragraph. And there are several things that you have to consider when you're working on that in your body paragraphs and your introduction and conclusion paragraphs for that matter. One is choose the right method. You have several methods to use. All right, and I walk you through this in the slides. You can use a colon. You can identify the speaker. In this case, that's going to be a good option oftentimes because, well, it's a play, and it's therefore there's a ton of dialogue. You know exactly who's saying things. The third option is to embed an example as though it's a natural part of a sentence. Okay. The second thing that you have to consider is context. Give us enough background knowledge for the example before we're on top of it. And you can think of context in terms of 4 W's. Who, what, when, where. If you hit 2 of those 4, you're probably providing just fine context. Okay? Especially who and what. When, that can come into play oftentimes with this play. Where, not so much. We're in one single location, right? The final thing that you have to consider, and this is a big one, is coherence. Every time you blend an example, I should be sure to blend the quote with some language that's connecting us back to the topic sentence and thus the thesis statement. So what that means is that in the end, in every single sentence in a body paragraph, you have words in it that you have deliberately chosen to connect back to your topic sentence. Okay. I threw out a quote yesterday during our session in my modeling here by Verlin Klinkenborg. He's a Yale professor, and he wrote a book called Several Short Sentences About Writing. And one thing he says in there that I think is just spot on. He says the writer's job is not accepting sentences. The job is making them word by word. And so if you think about that, that especially speaks to you have to be super deliberate in creating this sense of connectedness from the topic sentence all the way through literally the final word of your paragraph. You take that topic sentence and you drag it through every sentence afterwards. Okay? So I'll model for you then what blending looks like. And you'll hear my conversation out loud. So if you remember, this was the example that we used yesterday. And if you remember, there's our elaboration. So we've already got our elaboration written here. Now I need to work on blending. So again, the first consideration is method. Which method would be the best one for this one? Should I identify the speaker? Should I use a colon? Or should I try to blend this example as a natural part of the sentence? Just looking at the example, to me, identifying the speaker is going to make the most sense for this example. Okay, so I'm going to use that method. The second consideration, who, what, when, where, context. The third consideration, language connecting back. Here we go. In response to Juror 10's I'm going to use the word demand right now because I don't know. I can't think of another one off the top of my head. Demand to know jurors' votes. Juror 11 says, so okay, what do I have so far? Right now, do I have enough context? Who, what, when, where? I think so. Who? Juror 10, Juror 11, what in response to Juror 10's demand to know jurors' votes. I hit 2 of the 4. I think we're good. Okay. In terms of the method that I'm using, identifying the speaker, totally. I think this is the right choice for me, I think, in this case. In terms of blending with some language that connects us back to the topic sentence. In Act 1, Juror 11's appeals to ethos underscores petitions for jurors to deliberate with a sense of justice and to honor the democratic process. I don't have that right now. I've got to figure out a way to get some language in this blend so that in every sentence, I have words connecting back. Juror 7. Juror 11, sorry. I'm going to use a participial phrase here to kind of get that language in here. Underscoring the need, that's probably not the right word. Underscoring the importance of accepting dissenting votes says. All right. This isn't the perfect sentence. Just like I said yesterday, I'm writing this live in front of you. I would go back and I would try to fine tune things. But just in the interest of time so we can get to workshop, again, let me just explain what we have here. First of all, method. Identifying the speaker in this case, the juror says. I think that was the right method to use with this particular example. Context. Who? Juror 11, Juror 10. What? Juror 10's demand to know jurors' votes. And then again, method. I'm sorry, connecting back to the topic sentence. Okay, coherence. I feel like I have that language here. Importance of accepting dissenting votes. What would you say that connects back to in the topic sentence? What language? Or what value? Huh? Kind of. Yes? Yeah, deliberate. Connects back. Democratic process. Right? Isn't that what democracy's about? Is like everybody gets a voice. Everybody gets to voice where they are. Everybody gets a say. Okay? So there was my attempt to try to connect back there. Can I strengthen it? Probably. So if I were writing these sentences today, like you in a workshop, if I were in this moment here, I would definitely like stop. I would take a look, and I would, interrogate my choices here with this blend. Did I provide enough context? Am I connecting back? Is the connection back strong enough? And did I choose the right method? Okay. Do you have any questions about blending? So again, I recommend today in workshop, in terms of process, maybe a good process goal for you would be to go look at the blending slides or to rewatch the tutorial on elaboration that I modeled for you yesterday, or another process goal, schedule a conference with me. All right.